year is 1836. The Ottoman Empire is a mess, half the Balkans want independence, the economy is allergic to money, and our literacy rate is 12%. Which means, statistically, the average Ottoman subject can't even read the word Ottoman. I do hate myself for picking this country, however, our objective is to become the #1 great power, whatever it takes. Where did France go? Where did France go? Ooh, how am I even a major? Just please, just white peace, white peace, white peace. Wow, we're not even allies anymore. Hung out to dry. They want my capital city, they want my capital city. As you can tell, the previous game did not go so well, but none of that matters now. 3 events immediately pop up starting the game. The Tanzimat, Turkish for reorganization, basically a to-do list for fixing the empire before it inevitably implodes. Within this to-do list are quite a few lofty goals, building schools and
your world will burn until its surface,
taking children out the mines, firing everyone in HR, building factories, making the army a little bit less incompetent, and stealing Syria from Egypt, despite us stealing it first. They're also technically our puppet still, but we still have to go to war with them again to take back Syria, because they stole it in the first war. Never mind. Let's see how long it takes for this Victoria 3 backwater nation that's technically a great power to ally and suck up to Britain. Literally within 3 minutes, I have immediately sold my soul, economically, to the British for a 25-year-long alliance.
I am altering the deal.
But hey, that's the price you gotta pay to the Bank of England, and when Russia inevitably knocks on your door and gently asks for Palestine, I'll need someone to like hide and cower behind. Every time I'm about to get somewhere, there's a war. Anyway, the grind begins. Researching Napoleonic warfare, building universities in Constantinople, our capital, and cue shock and horror, introducing liberal reforms and a parliament. Disgusting. I really should be ashamed of myself. By 1840, the reforms and investments were starting to pay off. GDP's up, the literacy rate hit a whopping 20%, and I've come up with a delightfully devilish idea. You see, when most people attempt to fix the Ottomans, they go full conquer all of Syria instantly by like 1840. This is a mistake, however, and you should feel like an idiot for even trying this. You see, the Austrians and the Russians almost always side with Egypt to screw you over and—
whose footprints are these? Huh? What was that noise? Whose footprints are these?
prevent you, well, I would say growing too powerful, but for the Ottomans it's like not wanting to actively shoot yourself in the foot again. The addition of another 2 to 3 fronts with a modernized European empire, well, more modernized European empire, like Russia or Austria, spreads us far too thin to even defend properly, let alone attack. Instead, I'll grab most of Syria, but not Palestine. Why? Because if I take Palestine early, Russia loses its mind and declares war for the Holy Land, Palestine. But since Egypt technically owns it still, and I don't, they see no issue with it at all. That makes total sense. I love paradox games. The first play is to take Syria, skip Palestine, and drag Britain into the war to make it easy. I start the diplomatic play, the British join up, and the Egyptians back down. They backed down? Oh my god. Giving me one singular province. One province. Adana. You have no idea how annoying this was. Now, I do have a mod that lets me break truces for a small infamy here, but the British AI is far too polite to join wars that break truces. Good joke, Paradox.
You couldn't read your paper for updates about the 4th Anglo-Ashanti War without some little fucker telling you about his Bovril.
So I can't drag them into another useless Middle Eastern war for 5 years for no benefit of their own. Wait a second. I could go solo, but that would probably end in disaster with Austria or Russia joining, like I said previously. Still, my Zuma brain requires its scheduled dopamine injection right this second, so I'm doing it anyway. I declare on the Egyptians after breaking the truce, and, of course, Austria decides that no fun is allowed and jumps in against me. The war starts, and predictably, it's a complete clown show disaster. Libya gets occupied instantly by the Egyptians. I'm barely holding on in Syria. Like, holding on is a bit of a stretch, and the Bosnia front is completely collapsing. No chance I even save that one. So I did what any 19th century diplomat would do when they're in trouble. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video or something. Here's Twitter. Go follow me there for awesome tweets like this one.
And not even your demon will live.
Go join the Discord server if you like talking to Slovenian people. In reality though, a 19th century diplomat would go back to the previous save, added more primary demands to the diplomatic play, and the Egyptians didn't back down this time. Yippee! With British help, everything goes almost too smoothly. I hold the Egyptians in Libya whilst blitzing down the eastern Mediterranean coast. The war goes perfectly, and it's over by January. After the war, I then double down harder on liberal reforms. I also managed to get the liberal intelligentsia into power, with them in charge, passing laws that screw over the landlords.
And we're just trying to piss off the landowners.
Suddenly becomes a little bit more bearable, and I waste no time going straight for the big one, abolishing serfdom. Basically slavery, but like slightly better. While all that political chaos and debate unfolds, I throw every ounce of effort into construction and education. Schools start popping up across the empire, and for the first time in forever, it feels like things might be getting better for the average Ottoman. By June, literacy had climbed to nearly 22%. It's not much on paper, but after years of staring at single digits, it's starting to feel like a miracle to me. The empire is finally showing signs of life, and the patient is no longer flatlining. Do you know what also helps your financial status even more? Stealing from people. In August, I set my sights on Persia, eyeing the province of Urmia. What's that name? There's only a 4% chance that they'll actually accept my request peacefully, but for once, luck actually decides to cut me a break.
Oh, what? Okay. I just got a free province. Let's go.
So they fold without a fight, handing over the province, and I walk away with some free land. Persia gets to survive, for at least a few more years. Well, I would say that, but it's more like a few months. Anyway, it's all part of the master plan, and I'm a genius, and all the Ottoman people love me now, because I just stole from Iran with no war. Thank you for your attention. By 1844, the homesteading law successfully passed, replacing the outdated and archaic system of serfdom.
Let's go. Now we get a dedicated police force. You can just immediately see the standard of living rise.
The bill had a mere 27% chance of success, yet somehow it survived and passed, and as a result,
Whoa, it doesn't stop. What the hell?
the standard of living rocketed upwards. In October, Russia decided to get involved in the Caucasus, moving in on the last few independent Muslim states in the region. An event asks me if I want to help them out as I am a Muslim nation. No, not really. Instead, I take in the refugees fleeing the war and the inevitable, very merciful, Russification projects that are bound to happen as soon as the war is over. They just can't wait to genocide the local populace. Yeah, it's probably cowardice, and I'm sure the onion hat man who founded the empire, or something, likely wouldn't be so happy with my decision to kowtow, but it's a pragmatic one, and I don't feel like dying at the moment.
I never asked for this.
Especially without Britain on my side. Anyway, in March, my attention had shifted once again to Iran. Whoa, this sounds familiar. Our intelligence agency also told us that the Shah is just a mere 2 weeks. I initiated a diplomatic play to seize several key provinces, both to expand our population base and to strengthen the GDP. War erupted by July. The Iraqi front held strong while I landed in southern Iran, pushing north to join up with the main army in Iraq. Then, out of nowhere, I get a pop-up from China offering a labor contract for Chinese workers, not students.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. This is from a mod, I think. Just if you get Han Chinese in Bohemia.
The industrialists are thrilled, mostly because they can somehow pay the Chinese workers even less than Ottoman workers. I accepted immediately. Anyway, back to Iran, the biggest state sponsor of terror. The war ends in a clean Iranian capitulation.
There we go. That's some more land.
And, yet again, I get a few shiny new provinces, a healthy bump to GDP, and a noticeable population boost. After that, I dive headfirst into some more liberal reforms.
Dude, the Ottomans banning slavery before America.
Healthcare gets rolled out, and the empire continues to modernize.
Let's try and get elected bureaucrats.
Meanwhile, Russia just can't help themselves. By August, they're also invading Iran again. This wouldn't do. The Russian bear isn't getting anywhere near the Persian Gulf. I break the truce with Iran just before the diplomatic stage ends between Russia and Iran, because if I can't win, I can at least be petty about it. By January, another war with Iran starts again, and within a few months, that map just looks so miserable for the Iranians. But hey, at least Russia is not in the Persian Gulf.
Oh, Russia.
Meanwhile, Europe's gone completely insane. In September, the German Empire forms without Alsace-Lorraine,
18. That's a really early Germany.
and at the same time, the Austrian Ausgleich fires off, forming Austria-Hungary. Not ideal, especially in early Germany, but at least it keeps Austria busy, which is perfect for my next plan. Egypt. More liberal reforms, more manufacturing, more GDP, especially helped out by interventionist economics, more literacy, and more standard of living. This is going so much better than the last run. By September 1851, I finally finished most of the Tanzimat goals. Education is upgraded, the army actually kind of works now, and we're officially capable of punching a great power and maybe not getting hurt too much. In March 1852, Europe is losing its mind again. The Italian states are fighting over who gets to form Italy, so just imagine Battle of Mid. Also, Brazil is just there.
Messy!
Yeah, Europe's a mess, and somehow that's good news for me. Austria's too busy squabbling to notice that I'm about to start a war in Egypt. My plan is simple: take Palestine, reduce their autonomy, and grab some money. Complications? Of course there are. Britain has a truce with Egypt, meaning that they won't be available, and Russia, well, they just joined the diplomatic play. However, before this turns into another nightmare where Russia and Austria just continually gang up on me for the 15th time, like the previous game, I make a deal. The French offer help if I give them Tunisia.
I'll lose Tunis.
Fine, whatever, I'll take it. The war itself is ridiculously simple. Most of my army attacks from Jordan and Lebanon into Palestine while keeping the Egyptians busy in Libya. Meanwhile, the French smash through Cairo via the Suez Canal. The French occupy Cairo, I march for Mecca, and Palestine is liberated. Then I give the order to push from Libya and meet the French near the Nile. We are now officially a great power, bouncing between the 6th and 9th. The economy's booming, literacy is at 47%. However, we still do have a war to win in Russia, and predictably, the Russians immediately declare for Palestine after the war with Egypt is done. This drags in the French and the British. However, this is fine, honestly. It just means there's more hands fighting the Russians. At first, the war goes poorly, and the Russians push hard. But after careful army reorganization and some much needed help from the French, we start making progress on the front lines in the Caucasus and Iran. The British are supposed to be helping, but apparently their idea of assistance is wandering around St. Petersburg, so I cannot rely on them for anything. It's a very long war, but eventually, with the British helping us take Crimea and South Ukraine, the war is finally over. We gain Crimea, Georgia, cars,
He did what?
and a huge pile of reparations that make all the grinding worth it. Not long after, a war of extinction with Greece kicks off, hilariously funded with Russian money, which is being used to crush their own allies. And also, the Montenegrins decide to join in on the fun, because that's really smart, Montenegro, well done, and annex Egypt, which significantly boosts the population, GDP, and just general power. After a war between Austria, Hungary, and Germany, Austria is completely mutilated, with Bohemia and Vienna being taken by Germany, Hungary being completely ejected from Habsburg dominion, and Austria only left in Dalmatia. Like a scavenger, I swoop in for Austrian, Montenegro, and Dalmatia,
I feel like a bastard, but I'm gonna take Croatia from them.
whilst also liberating Poland, because why not? I'm a nice guy. Russia joins in again, and obviously that cannot be allowed, so I invite the British to help to negotiate for more land, and make it a priority to liberate Ukraine and a Muslim state in the northern Caucasus to serve as a buffer state. The war goes surprisingly well, and after landing in St. Petersburg, Russia capitulates, liberating Ukraine, though I do not have enough infamy to liberate that Caucasian state. Expanding into Africa becomes a priority, because the French and British are constantly fighting over it.
Stop colonizing my land.
So I set up a colony in South Sudan, like mentioned, while also conquering Darfur to prevent French interference. After attempting to take Uganda, Russia tries to get involved again, and guys, come on, how well has this worked for you before? Thankfully, the Germans decide to help,
Yeah, Russia's gonna support them. You really want to do that? I'm going to...
and with that revelation, Russia is utterly done for. Under a year later, the war ends with a liberated Dagestan, Poland, and Iran. Yes, they're back from the dead and actually friendly this time. Then, a pop-up appears titled A Developing Crisis, introducing the Great Eastern Crisis, which lasts for 10 years and is probably one of the most excruciating things I've ever had to endure in a video game. I'm not joking. Every single subject group besides Turks gets the chance to revolt.
A crisis is brewing in the Balkans. We must control a secession. Oh, right. Oh, so I've got like 6 years of dealing with like 15 trillion secessionist movements.
And I've expanded a lot, and I've conquered a lot of people that aren't Turkish. Meanwhile, Britain has a communist revolution.
King Lauderdale Smelly? That's the king of Great Britain. What the fuck happened? Why do they own all the...
I really don't know how this happened, and frankly, I don't really want to know. For a solid 10 years, the constant rebellions drained my bank and patience alike. Eventually, the crisis is largely over, and I managed to hold on to all of our territory. But a civil war breaks out in Britain between the communists and Republican liberals, giving me a prime opportunity to take Britain's prized possession.
I'll support you, but you gotta give me India. That's one way to see the Ottoman Empire on land.
I eat the infamy and add the goal, transfer subject of India to me.
It's like the worst time to happen.
I hate being alive! I hate being alive!
Instantly wiping out a huge chunk of GDP and standard of living to go with it. After defeating the communists, I enter a massive sharing contest with America, and then, after offering Mexico some economic concessions,
Yes!
hundreds of thousands of British, French, and Ottoman troops invade Texas through Mexico, which is absurdly satisfying. The war ends a few months later, and I do not get India. After moving in and occupying all of India, Britain finally concedes, and I get India, right? India is fractured into hundreds of tiny little province countries, which I cannot be bothered to fully conquer.
Why don't I have India?
A few years pass until January 1903, when a World War I equivalent breaks out over Ukraine, because apparently decades of friendship do not matter when you're drifting back towards Russia's orbit. I was friends with Ukraine for like 50 years, guys, come on. The Germans back me while the Italians, Americans, Chinese, Hungarians, Poles and Russians back Ukraine,
Just Russia collapses into a... Dude, it really is like World War One.
which distracts all of their armies, allowing me to push into Ukraine, slowly whittling it down, while Germany handles Hungary and Poland, eventually beating them into submission by 1904. After occupying Kiev, the writing is on the wall for Ukraine. Meanwhile, we're still making money despite spending literally millions on our army every month. The standard of living is rising, GDP is stable, and the next major target is China. It takes around 20 invasions before the Germans finally secure a landing in Korea, allowing the Ottoman Empire to push all the way to Peking, and after 55 days, 10 million deaths, a Chinese GDP cut in half, and a standard of living of 2 in the imperial capital due to all the devastation, it is over.
5 million dead. The cost of the war has been £1 billion.
By 1910, and after another war with Russia and Ukraine, it was official. The Ottoman Empire has a GDP of 3.5 billion, the best standard of living in the world, a literacy rate of basically 100%, and no problems whatsoever, apart from some minor diplomatic isolation. But at that point, when you're that rich, who cares?